Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys another easy tutorial. It's how to create a Parrot Security OS install in VirtualBox. It's pretty easy and straightforward. Go ahead and create a new VirtualBox, name it like Parrot Security OS or something like that. I'm going to call it PS OS simply because I already have a Parrot Security OS right there. It is a Linux distribution. I'm going to go ahead and say other because I don't remember if it's Debian or Ubuntu. We'll go next. I always like to give it about 2 gigs of RAM. Next, we're going to create a virtual hard disk now. VDI, unless you want to be able to kind of cross over between other virtual machine softwares. I always stick with the VirtualBox disk image because this is the only one I usually use. Dynamically allocated, you want it to fill up as you go. I mean, unless you want to set aside 20 gigs immediately or whatever size you choose. I always go with 20. And that brings us to this. So 20 gigs is what I choose. You can go with something smaller depending on the amount of hard drive space you have. Create. Okay, this is where it gets fun. We're going to go to our settings. Okay. Shared clipboard, I'd go with bidirectional so you can share both ways. For base memory, you did that, 2 gigs. Processor, I'm going to go ahead and use 4. This is dependent upon how many CPUs you have. If you have 8, I recommend 2 to 4. If you have 4, I'd recommend 2. That can also cause, if you use too many processors, it can also cause crashes and errors. So be careful about that. Monitor count. I have 2 monitors, but I only want to use 1. Storage, we're going to go ahead and select the actual virtual optical disk. I have mine saved in a specific folder called Operating System Images. You can decide where that is yourself. Audio is fine. Network is fine. For what I'm doing, I'm using a external wireless card, so we're not going to need to set this up this way. We will set it up with the USB. What you can do is, there's another way to do this, but we're going to go the easy route this time. What you can do is, for me, I'm using an Alpha card, external card. It's a Raylink 802.11. Go ahead and click that, or depending on what you have, click it. And then that's about all we need as far as settings go and setup. So click on OK. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and start it up and start the actual install. This could take a second. Like I said, I'm running OBS and this at the same time. I've only got 6 gigs of RAM, so we'll see how quickly this goes. The processor's an i7, but it's not going to do much for something that's a little RAM intensive. Okay. What you can do, go down to install. A lot of people use the standard installer, but I like to install with the GTK GUI. It's easier, kind of looks like you're going through a Kali Linux install or something similar. Maybe even a regular Debian or Ubuntu install. It's pretty much a reskin of the standard. It's just easier on the eyes. Go ahead and let this boot up here. Okay, select obviously your language, English for me, United States, American English. Let this go through the it's loading from quote-unquote CD, I guess the virtual drive. Now, at this step, if you're doing an actual USB install, there could be issues with it detecting the CD-ROM. In my experience, about 90 to 95% of the time, that issue can be resolved just by unplugging the USB flash drive and plugging it back in when you get that error screen and hitting either retry or continue. I don't remember. So whatever's associated with the error, wanting you to try again. But yeah, just unplug it, plug it back in, and it should read it just fine. What you're going to do is go ahead and type in root password or whatever you choose. You want it to be something secure, obviously. Go ahead and continue. I like to do stupid little leap names for the name of the user and username. That and my whole thought process behind it is it kind of looks like an error if somebody were to be scanning the network. It looks like, unless they know lead speed, but if somebody's scanning the network, they probably already do, but your everyday person is not necessarily always going to know that. Then you're going to want to create a password for that user. Something different. I'm going with the same thing because it's easy to remember. Or variations on the same password. Maybe capitalizations, different undercases, or numberings. Go ahead and continue. Select your time zone. I'm going with Eastern. Now you gotta let it detect the disks that you're getting ready to partition. This part's easy. Guided, use entire disk. Use what's highlighted for you. Yours are probably going to say something different. It could, it may, depending on what it is. All files in one partition. We'll go with that for now. Finish partitioning and write changes to disk. Go ahead and click yes. Partitions formatting. Now, this is the slowest, most time-consuming part of the entire process. I'm not going to sit here and let this install. I'm just going to edit this part out, and we'll pick back up. Yep, still waiting. Almost done. This is taking forever. There we go. There we go. Alright. Maybe 10 more seconds here. Figuring apt. Guys, I really recommend upgrading to at least 8 gigs of RAM. Maybe a beefier laptop if you guys are using one. I really like the portability of having a laptop, but the amount of power you lose, it's so noticeable. If you're going to be doing anything like this, do it from a desktop or from at least a gaming laptop. Or even one of those Dell Studios. Those aren't too bad. Alright, we're going to install the Grub bootloader to the master boot record. Obviously. Don't enter it manually. Save that for another time. So go ahead and click on your hard disk, the one you chose earlier, your virtual drive. By the way, guys, that jet engine sound you're hearing is my fan in my laptop. I'm working on getting a better microphone. And that'll also deal with the clarity. It'll solve the clarity issues that I'm having. You guys will be able to understand me a little better and won't sound like there's a fan or a jet engine in your face the entire time. But you're working with what you have, right? So, yeah, installation complete. Okay, continue. It's going to take a second as well. I mean, not like the actual install, but I'm gonna have to edit the shit out of this video. All of this wasted time. These are supposed to be fast, you guys. I don't like watching YouTube videos that go on forever and ever and ever. Something that takes 5 minutes or even 2 minutes to explain, you turn into a 20-minute video. And you have to go, I mean, what's the point of looking for a tutorial on Google or YouTube? You know, something that's supposed to be quick and painless, and you have to sit through 20 minutes of some guy like me talking about nothing. I mean, I guess to an extent, if it's at least funny, that can be fun or interesting to sit through. Here we go. Reboots. Alright, this boots you into Grub, obviously. You select Parrot. You don't really need to go through the advanced options as of now unless there's an issue with maybe the bootloader or something like that. You can get into boot settings, which there shouldn't be if you're creating. I've never really had an issue with a virtual machine, except for maybe hardening errors when I was running customized theme on my operating system, which, by the way, don't do that if you're running VirtualBox, because that creates hardening issues. They don't like unsigned themes. And there's a ton of those different error codes that creates a hardening issue, and there's not a whole lot of documentation on it. First boot always sucks. Okay, there we go. You're gonna enter in your password. Apart from first boot, what I really like about Parrot Security is how it's put together and how much smoother it is, in my opinion, than the Kali Linux virtual machine. Maybe that's just me, but I've always had better experiences. I don't like the way Parrot Security looks. It looks too, you know, like, check this out. It looks too Hollywood hacker-esque. I don't, what the hell is that? You can probably go into your Bash RC and edit that. It's probably what, that's, yeah, definitely where that is. Parrot what? Oh yeah, this is another thing. When you install a new one of these, you're going to want to update it. I'm not going to do it. It takes forever, and I'm not going to sit through this and do that. But I generally like this because the non-surf, this is all built in. You know, I2P services, Tor services. I think it's better organized. Everything tends to work a little better right out of box. Now, the only issue with this that I'm seeing, that I have seen, is, again, I talk a lot about documentation. There's not a whole lot of documentation on this, or at least not nearly as much as there is for Kali Linux or Backtrack Linux, or, yeah, I guess this would be probably the second best you could choose is Parrot OS under Kali Linux. But again, I think it's better organized. Everything tends to work a little better, less setting up. It's a lot more customizable if you're really into that. I use Kali KDE generally, so that's pretty customizable. But this is pretty great. I plan on doing a lot of tutorials with the tools and stuff like that. I don't know all of them, but I've played with a fair amount over the past 10 or so years. But you'll have to wait for other videos. But if there's anything you guys think I'm doing wrong, should be doing, if you like it, you hate it, you think this is all bullshit, let me know in the comments. And have a good night, day, whatever, guys. Thanks.